we, the NCAA, have to sit down and say, all right, if this environment remains the way it is, what does that mean for us going forward? We hold lots and lots of events here. We're going to have our national convention here. Our offices are here. We have to say, all right, what are we going to do if this law goes into effect in July, and what's our relationship with the state of Indiana going to be?
The College Basketball National Championship is on tap this weekend. Billions of dollars are involved in not only staging the event, but being wagered on the event. And the economic impact it brings to the host state is staggering. So when the state of Indiana decided to enact a controversial measure over religion and possible discrimination, the uproar has led to one head coach saying he won't be there when his team takes the floor. And a greater call for the entire tournament to be shut down and pulled down from the state. Days away from tip-off. All right, dig into the guts now. Here's the man who invented the concept of sports business, also an attorney who understands the legalese involved. Let's welcome back the sports professor, Rick Horrow. Good to see you again, Professor.
Is that the best introduction you could do? Dig into the guts? That's not the worldwide journalist that I know. Come
on.
Well,
today it was easy. We just had to go ahead and get because I wrote it around lunchtime. Does that work for you?
I'm hungry.
Okay, there you go.
Let's hurry up.
Hey, let's get to one thing here because there's a rumor, and you know how these things float around constantly, and it is April 1st, people saying that the NCAA may actually look to shift the Final Four from its current site to someplace else out of Indiana. Let's stop this right now. That's not going to happen, right?
You mean like 3 days away?
Yeah,
Who started
exactly.
that rumor? And that whoever started that rumor, if they're credible, shouldn't be credible anymore. You can't do it. It's much bigger than that event. It's billions of dollars of logistics, economic activities, hotel rooms. You'd love to have that leverage, but the real leverage here, by the way, is that the next Final Four for the men is 2021. They've had a Super Bowl in 2012. There were 5 Final Fours in the city, in the old facility. Lucas Oil Stadium, as we know, is $700 million or so of public money that's based on the men's Final Four, the women's Final Four, and a whole bunch of other perspectives on all of this. And the bottom line is sports is big business, especially in an incredible convention destination like Indianapolis. And the NCAA's headquarters there means that they have some leverage to do a whole lot of things.
Let's look at that then, because in your opinion, and looking at the tremendous amount of money that's involved here, not just the NCAA, but the NFL, Super Bowls, other titles, the NBA, whatever you want to call it, isn't it fair to say that when you're looking at economic impact, sports, no matter what sport it is, out of the major sports and major entities, they can pretty much dictate what a lot of states do. They can change state laws in a heartbeat.
Well, they can change state laws. I'm not sure about a heartbeat, but let's take a look at some of the perspective. Remember Arizona and the immigration law? There were a lot of games of chicken that happened before that was ultimately not signed. Remember Martin Luther King holiday observance in Arizona years ago? They were going to get their first Super Bowl and did not. They ultimately got it, but 2 years later. And it is a very powerful entity when you think of it as a convention destination organization that has a convention that's worth nearly $500 million, you stand up and take notice.
From a legal standpoint then, and looking at a legal and sports standpoint, wasn't this just a bad idea for Indiana at any length of time to have this sort of law, knowing they had to know what kind of a reaction they were going to get out of this?
Well, I'm not sure they had to know, because the Economic Development Organization of Indiana and a lot of others are very strong. And you look at those organizations that are positioned to know how impactful these kind of events are on the future business of their region, who is more now. Region now is more and more tourist based. You know, farming economy is great and all of that, but it is a center of the country, tourist destination with a huge airport expansion, and understanding how important these national conventions are, enough to build a stadium, as I said, that cost $700 million, tied into their Indiana Convention Center. So they understand the dimensions of this business. They could also understand the dimensions of losing it.
I got about 15 seconds left here. Do you think the NCAA, though, would actually pull their entire organization out of Indiana over this, or is that a mute threat?
Well, I think the threat is enough to have this law changed, but certainly they moved their headquarters and all of their business from Kansas City to Indiana, and I guess in theory they could do it again.
And guess what? If they decided to do that, I could almost see the bidding process. Everybody saying, please, come bring your business here. Professor, always a pleasure to have you in your resplendent tie. It's nice to see that you dressed for the occasion today. We were all commenting on that.
I appreciate it. I'll see you next week. I'm going to go eat.
Enjoy that, please, and enjoy the Final Four. Thanks so much. Rick Horrow joins us. Coming up next, right here on MidPoint, time to check around the world, spanning the globe, different stories that you haven't heard anywhere else. Next.